Frank Rossi, and I'm joined by D3Football.com executive editor Pat Coleman. And Pat, earlier this week I was looking through the resumes of the four men that I just mentioned, and one thing became very obvious. They are truly the epitome of Division III student athletes. They're positive role models, and they're on the field, off the field accomplishments. They just are tremendous, especially in this batch of finalists that we have here this year.
That's one of the things that I love about the Gagliardi Trophy, in all honesty, Frank, is that it is a mixture of on-the-field accomplishments as well as off the field, including academics and community service. It's such just a model of the well-rounded student athlete that we've come to expect in Division III in all sports.
Absolutely, and this is the 23rd annual by my count. Now it could be off by one or so, but I think it's 23, and it's a tremendous honor. The last 5 years before this is the sixth time we're doing it. We're bringing four finalists into Salem and announcing it. They don't know who's won. Pat and I actually don't know who's won. There is only a select few people that may know this answer out there, but nonetheless, we do not know, and we're going to find out with them. And we should probably discuss first things first, how we kind of got to this point. Pat, you are a voter, and you know the process pretty much inside and out. Why don't you tell folks how we did get to this point?
Absolutely. The process starts when sports information directors nominate their players up to, I think we generally have about 15 to 18 nominees. Then the J Club, the alumni organization of St. John's University, takes that group and they whittle them down to 10 finalists. So those 10 finalists are what go to the 40 voters who then rank them from top to bottom, 10 points down to 1. And including the readers of D3Football.com got a ballot as well, though it's a 41st ballot. And they're instructed to, remember and keep in mind this is primarily a football award, but to remember to take into account the well-rounded aspect. So, we know what the student athlete's GPA is. We get an idea of, what kind of community service they've performed. There are letters of recommendation from the head football coach as well as the president or superintendent or the CEO, the head honcho of the college or university. So we get a little bit of insight into, what makes each of these kids tick. And, of course, there's various ways to find out even more about their football prowess.
You mentioned the 10, we now call the semifinalists. We'll talk more about the other 6 later. Why don't we talk about the 4 men who are here with us tonight, the actual finalists, and one of them will walk away with the Gagliardi Trophy. Let's start with Joe Callahan of Wesley College. And Joe is a senior quarterback from Absecon, New Jersey, D3Football.com All-East Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time D3 Football All-Regional team, first team South and East. Obviously, they moved to the East region when Wesley moved to the NJAC this season. Division III leader in passing, 5,068 yards and touchdowns 55. That's astronomical, Pat.
Yeah, in fact, that 5,000 is the most passing yards in a single season for any Division III quarterback. He had a tremendous season for the Wolverines this year.
On the bottom 2 aspects of this, you'll see things that you may not talk about in the Heisman Trophy per se. That's in class performance and community service. His major exercise science kinesiology is 3.42, and you can see his community service that he does. And we talked about him last year quite a bit, and he's gotten even better, I think, in a lot of ways on his resume.
Yeah, just an amazing season for Joe Callahan, and he's really made Wesley tick over the course of the last couple years as quarterback.
Let's talk about Matt Pulaski from Guilford College, a senior quarterback, Greensboro, North Carolina, D3Football.com All-South Offensive Player of the Year. He started all 40 games in his college career, set a team record for touchdowns of 39 and wins for 9. And 5th in Division III in passing per game, 333.3 yards. That's a great average. I mean, for some quarterbacks don't pass for that in 2 games, let alone an average all season. And you see his GPA and his community service there.
Yeah, and I will definitely ask Pulaski about the one thing that was missing for him this year was an opportunity to go to the playoffs. It is a school record for wins with 9, and he did start all 40 games, but he did not finish the one game that they lost this season. He was knocked out of the game in the first quarter, and the team ended up losing a narrow one to W&L and ended up not making the playoffs.
For those of you that don't know, Pat does double duty. He'll be talking directly to these candidates. I'll be talking to their coaches in our next segment coming up here, so stay tuned throughout. And coming up next is David Semet of University of St. Thomas, senior offensive tackle from Stillwater, Minnesota, D3Football.com All-West Region first team selection. He's second And D3 scoring, well, the offense was, in St. Thomas, 52.5 points per game. Wow.
Yeah.
Offensive line only allowed 14 sacks all season. And look at that GPA, 3.97 in accounting. That was better than my GPA a long time ago. And he has community service, unbelievable amount of it. We've only taken the top 3 bullet points from him.
I think if I have to scroll back here, I think all of these guys had, almost all of these guys had better GPAs than I did. So 3.97, pretty impressive. But of course, you know, David Simid, one of the big guys up front, and he is big. 6'9", 350 is what he's listed at. St. Thomas is just a bruising offensive line, and you know, they really make that offense go. And you know, David Simid's been a big part of that this season.
In case you can't tell the difference between Pat and David on stage, you know, David's a slightly larger man than Pat. It'll be close, so trust me. Sam Sura, St. John's University, the senior running back from St. Paul, Minnesota, 2-time All-MIAC first team selection, D3Football.com, All-West Region second team. Records include 1,599 yards in a season, 350 yards in a game. My goodness. Owns 12 St. John's career rushing records. You can see the rest there. And I guess it's apropos, St. John's Gagliardi Trophy, named after the longtime head coach, John Gagliardi. And obviously Sam Sura represents a lot of the good things about St. John's and Coach Gagliardi.
Yeah, and Sam Sura and the rest of this senior class, or the last class that played for John Gagliardi, he retired after the 2012 season. But you know, that took a little bit of a dip, and the program is back on the upswing.
So, folks, I think we're going to be going to break at this point and start to talk to some of the coaches of these players and find out what really makes these players tick and what they really meant to their program. So stay tuned. You're watching the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy Show.
Division III schools offer academic scholarships instead of athletic scholarships. This really puts the focus that the student athlete needs to maintain that GPA.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III. A lot of people pick schools just based on the sport and don't get that experience.
Being a Division III athlete and developing my leadership skills has definitely put my name out there and helped me get more recognition on campus, but more recognition nationwide. I did win the Jostens Trophy, which is based on leadership, academics, and then how well you do on the court.
I'm also the Schwartz Scholar of my class. Schwartz Scholarship is basically a scholarship that is given to a student who's identified as a likely leader.
At the end of the day, it won't matter how they play on the field, it will matter how they do in the classroom.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at d3hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
And we're back here on the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy Show. I'm Frank Rossi, and I'm being joined right now by 2 of the coaches of the men that we're going to be talking about tonight. First off, we have Mike Drass on to my right, your left probably on your screen right now, from Wesley College. Talk about Joe Callahan. And from Guilford, Chris Rusevitz. I've been practicing all night, Coach. It's a good name for me here to keep me active here. And he's going to be talking about Matt Pulaski, quarterback from Guilford. 2 quarterbacks nonetheless. Coach Drass, first, Joe Callahan, a guy we talked a lot about last year. He was a man among men last year, and, I mean, he seems even better now. Tell us about the further maturation process of Joe over this last season, especially after last year being one of the finalists.
Well, you look at quarterbacks, and especially senior quarterbacks, and their understanding of the game. Certainly they know what's going on offense, and they can see what's going to happen defensively by getting a pre-snap read. But, you know, Joe became such a student of the game. He knew what was going to happen, you know, before the ball was snapped. And, you know, 5,000 yards later and a few NCAA records, you know, he wrapped up an unbelievable career.
Absolutely. What was the moment, and this is going to be a common question I asked the coaches tonight, what was the moment that you saw Joe and you said to yourself, this is going to be the leader he really turned out to be, maybe a Gagliardi Trophy finalist now, it's twice basically, and what are you going to miss the most about him after graduation?
Well, I tell you, I don't know if there's a point in time. He's had so many great games against great teams. I remember his first start against Widener, he threw for over 500 yards, but his second start against Mary Hardin Baylor, we got our butts kicked. And the thing that impressed me most about that night was, he never, ever showed any doubt in anything that we did, and he got those guys to play with him. He's a young man that gets people to rally behind him by example, by what he does, on the playing field and off the playing field. I don't know how you replace a guy like that. He's a very special athlete.
Well, we wish him the best of luck. Wish you the best of luck tonight as you root him on. And Coach Rusevitz, let's talk a little bit about Matt. As the season concluded, we saw some Twitter activity, et cetera, that he was not the happiest of campers about not making the tournament. You have a great season. That we can't take that away from your team and from Matt. But, that hits me as probably a microcosm of his leadership ability, et cetera. Why don't you kind of extrapolate on that a little bit? What kind of leader was Matt?
Well, I think when Matt came in, he's quiet. He's a quiet leader. Likes to lead by example in terms of what he does on the field and how he handles adversity. And I say that because when he got there, he grew up really fast. I mean, he was named our starter 10 days into camp his freshman year, coming from 5th on the depth chart. So just worked his tail off to do that. And I think the most disappointing for all the seniors, including Matt, was to have such a spectacular career, but even a season. I mean, the numbers he threw up, to be 28-12, in his 4 years of starting, and to be able to finish 9-1, which is the best record we've ever had at Guilford College in over 100 years, and to not have anything to continue to play. I think he just loves the game that much. One, but two, to continue to go. And what he said, which makes sense, is just to kind of see what he could do in a national spotlight against some of the other obviously dominant teams in the country. And he wanted that opportunity. Obviously, he'll never get that again.
Same question, though. What was that moment maybe when he was younger at Guilford that you really saw him as potentially being the leader, maybe a Gagliardi Trophy type candidate, and what will you miss about him the most?
Well, one, I think his on-field natural leadership abilities. Like I said, he wasn't a vocal guy. Actually, this year he became more vocal, but no matter what, it was a touchdown pass, an interception, no matter what was going on, a defense gave a touchdown, he carried himself the exact same way. And I think being a 3-time captain, being voted by his peers as a sophomore after his freshman year starting, you don't get that with kids, especially a guy that's just kind of, cool and calm and collective and just keeps to himself. But we're going to miss that. I mean, anytime you have a guy start 40 games, you're going to miss that. So obviously it's about trying to find next kid. So we're definitely going to miss him. Great kid, great person, obviously a great football player.
Gentlemen, both of you, thank you for joining me. And again, best of luck to both of you tonight as you root on for your school's sakes as much as your players' sakes. Possibility of walking away with the Gagliardi Trophy. I think there was it Rocky Myers back when?
In 2004, Rocky was won the Gagliardi Trophy. It was a great day.
And Guilford still looking for the first one. Yeah, this could be it tonight. We'll see. We'll be right back, though, with two more coaches, talk about two more players, two more finalists here on the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy Show. Thanks, guys.
For the love of the game. That's what it's all about, they say. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that.
It's more about team and the schools and communities we represent.
And for the many of us blessed with the strength to compete in sport at the college level, we understand that with what we were given comes a special obligation.
Our obligation to help those who have their own special needs and whose love for the game is no less intense.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. Since August of 2011, we and others from Division III campus communities have volunteered more than 250,000 hours, time away from the classroom and practice field, reaching across the country to coach and mentor Special Olympics athletes.
And to learn that in giving, we receive so much more in return. Help us keep that dream alive.
Be part of it.
Get involved.
You can make a difference.
Division III allows you to be able to give yourself to other things. Not even just participate in them, but really get involved with them if you want to.
There's a lot of interaction. It's not just sitting back, taking notes. You're actually doing hands-on things and better preparing yourself for your major.
Choosing a Division III school, I've had the opportunity to develop my leadership skills and to be more involved on campus.
Division III in athletics affords students the opportunity not only to participate in intercollegiate athletics at a competitive level, but also gives them the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport and outside of the academics on the campus.
And to have opportunity to have time to join clubs and being able to play basketball, it allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
And we're back here on the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy Show. And folks, we don't quite have the 7,000 to 12,000 people that normally follow these two gentlemen around if they're in the same vicinity. But we still got a good group here tonight to talk about the Gagliardi Trophy finalists that their schools have here tonight. Glenn Caruso, head coach of St. Thomas. You got some important business to take care of in 2 days, but first we got some exciting business to deal with tonight, and that is the potential of St. Thomas's first Gagliardi Trophy winner. David Simmet, we're talking about, offensive tackle. And we were talking earlier, Pat Coleman and I think David was actually out here a few years ago when you had your first opportunity at the championship. You think that experience helped shape him into the leader he became, both off and especially on the field, experiencing that a few years ago and getting the drive to come back here and do it again?
Well, of course. I think everybody's present is made up of their experiences in the future, good and bad. Our experience here was almost all good. Obviously, we lost the game, and credits Mount Union for that game. But all of those things go into making it. And, just so happy to be here, obviously, with Coach Gagliardi. And, you're celebrating 50% of the finalists are Minnesota kids. Catholic school kids, ones that we both recruited. One went to St. John's, one went to St. Thomas, and I think both would tell you that they've had unbelievable opportunities and experiences at their school. And let's not even mention that the trophy's named after Coach Gagliardi, who's also a MyAct product. So pretty good day for Minnesota all in all.
I might have to mention that in a couple of seconds, but don't hurt me for that one. But I got one more question for you. It's kind of the universal question I'm asking.
Sure.
What was the moment that you saw David and said, that's going to be a leader for my team? That's going to be somebody that might be a Gagliardi Trophy type candidate someday. What will you miss most about him?
Well, everyone wants to look at his physical stature, and obviously 6'9", 351 pounds, and he's a really good offensive player for us. But what sometimes people don't take a time to look at the minds and the hearts of these kids, and David certainly deserves to be up there as the other three do. And I think what I realize is I'm probably more blessed to have him in my life than he is to be in mine. And he's grown in so many ways, and I don't mean that like tongue-in-cheek, like physically. I just mean he's been given an unbelievable basis from which to grow with his family. We didn't build him. The University of St. Thomas didn't build him. He had a great foundation when he came in. We added a few bricks to that foundation. But when I really fell in love with him was his sophomore year when we lost 2 games, and we don't. That's not like us, and it's a tough year for us. And I remember on the field, even when we hadn't lost a game yet, a senior wasn't doing something right. And as a sophomore leader, he kind of stood up and made them take notice and said, look, I don't care if I'm a sophomore or a senior. That's not the right way to do it. And there's a lot of things to love about him. There's a lot of things to love about Sammy and the other kids, but that's when I really fell in love with him.
That's a great moment right there. Great story. Jimmy Gagliardi, assistant coach for St. John's. Okay, we can't hide the fact the award is named for your dad. There have been 2 prior St. John's winners, obviously, and you got Sam Sura here. What qualities does he exemplify of your dad, and why the award is named after your dad especially?
Well, my dad always used to talk about how important it was to have your best players on your team be some of the best people, best human beings, and Sam exemplifies that to a T. He is, we don't get any better kid than Sam Sir. He's like a lot of these kids here. They're wonderful kids, but he's right at the top with them. And it's nice when your best player on your football team's that kind of kid.
What was the moment for you? You said this guy is going to be the leader, a possible Gagliardi Trophy candidate, and what will you miss most about him when he leaves?
First time he touched football. Really? He took the ball almost to the end zone in the first collegiate game of his time, and you saw something there. But then what was really interesting is Sam never blocked in high school. Sam never caught the football in high school, and that's a major part of our attack is having that fullback be able to block and the fullback be able and to be honest with you, it's a shame we didn't use him to block more as his career went on, because he's a tremendous blocker. Unfortunately, he's a pretty darn good ball carrier too, so we tried to get him the ball as much as possible. But he worked hard on his hands. He really led by example. He's what you want guys to do. If they see a shortcoming, he's going to get out there and solve that and bring others with him. They see that, and I think that's outstanding.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you joining us here. Good luck tonight. Good luck in 2 days. We'll talk to you a little bit more as the week goes on, obviously, Coach. But we're going to be right back here with the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy Show.
For the love of the game. That's what it's all about, they say. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team and the schools and communities we represent.
And for the many of us blessed with the strength to compete in sport at the college level, we understand that with what we were given comes a special obligation.
An obligation not merely to work towards a personal best in the classroom or in the sport we love, but rather an obligation to help those who have their own special needs and whose love for the game is no less intense.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. For Special Olympics athletes, victory belongs not only to those who first cross the line, but to all of those who compete and endure.
They are challenged in ways we cannot imagine. They are survivors who test themselves harder and with greater joy than we will ever know.
Since August of 2011, we and others from Division III campus communities have volunteered more than 250,000 hours, time away from the classroom and practice field, reaching across the country to coach and mentor Special Olympics athletes.
And to learn, as we all do, that in giving we receive so much more in return.
Sport ennobles us, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
Be part of it.
Get involved.
You can make a difference.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at d3hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
And we're back here on the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy Show. Frank Rossi back here with Pat Coleman. Pat, you're kind of wearing 2 headsets here. You're getting ready for that double duty I was talking about. You're going to be interviewing each of the 4 finalists. But let's talk about the other 6 semifinalists that did not join us. We're just a little short in the voting, but still, they were to be 10 of the best players in, tens of thousands of players of football in the country. Really says something about you. Let's talk about them. Alex Kochev from Mount Union, senior safety from Chagrin Falls, Ohio. I think we'll be talking about him in a couple days or something.
Yeah, he's a guy obviously who is here tonight, and I expect that he will be recognized at some point. At least I hope so. And obviously he's had a great career, and hoping to come away with one more national championship. But Coach F, along with a couple of other seniors, guys who will end up playing 60 games for Mount Union before their career's over.
Yeah, that's a few.
Just a few.
Cody McNamara, Gettysburg senior linebacker from Manasquan, New Jersey. Gettysburg had a pretty good season, all things considered, in the Centennial Conference, and he was a big part of that.
Yeah, and McNamara was the guy who won the fan vote. He was the top vote getter on the fan ballot.
Jesse Ramos, Hardin Simmons senior receiver and kick return from Stamford, Texas. They had a big win against Mary Hardin Baylor, obviously, in the regular season, and reshaping that rivalry a little bit.
Yeah, and he had a big part in it. It was his go route over the top. He just blew past the defense, caught the pass in stride, and caught the game-winning touchdown for the Cowboys.
Logan Schrader, Wartburg senior quarterback from Kildare, Illinois. Wartburg was one of those teams, he started the season well, then we weren't so sure, but guys like Schrader really help that team get back on track toward the end of the season.
Schrader was one of the last year's 5 semifinalists who were juniors. There were 5 juniors and 5 seniors, so he's here on the list again this year.
Matt Sneebold, who is a Wheaton senior tackle on Alaska, Wisconsin. We talk about offensive lineman. Who was it? Blaine Westemeyer was the last one about 4 years ago or so.
I think it might be further back than that, but
yeah, you're right.
From Augustana, also in that conference, so they know how to block in the CCIW.
Absolutely, and congratulations to him on being named a semifinalist, and also the all-name team. I mean, if we were just voting on names, I think this one would win. In fact, he's named Dayton Wynn, for Hendricks Jr. running back from Pea Ridge, Arkansas, and another team that kind of came off, onto the charts from being off the charts for quite some time, and congratulations to them.
In fact, they came from being off the gridiron for decades and decades. This is only the 3rd season that the Warriors have had football again, and Wynn's been a big part of their success. They won the SAA regular season and went to the playoffs this year.
So here's what's going to happen. After we're done, we're going to throw it up to the dais, and we'll have a brief program basically, and you'll see videos about each of the 4 players after their respective video. Pat will interview the player and talk about it, kind of like the Heisman Trophy type show, where he will actually talk to the players one by one, and then after all 4, we'll have the big announcement, and the first interview with the winner will be right here back on our platform, and you'll want to stay tuned for that here on the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy Show. Any final thoughts here as we begin to prepare to throw it up to the dais?
Nope, I've got all my notes. I'm ready to go. But the one thing I like is that, like a lot of kids in Division III, these guys are all well-spoken. They're smart kids. Obviously quality students and quality student athletes. But I talked with each of them earlier this afternoon, and I suspect they're going to represent their institutions very well here tonight.
Remember, 7 o'clock is the kickoff time or thereabouts on ESPNU for the Stag Bowl. Stag Bowl 43 coming up on Friday. D3football.com will have their pregame show. We will basically at around, give or take 5 o'clock. You'll see it on D3football.com, the official time on that over the next couple days. That will include the All-America team show, which will include a lot of the names you heard here tonight, I'm sure. Pat knows, and we'll be revealing them in a couple of days as to who will make the 2015 D3Football.com All-America teams, and that will be slightly before kickoff on Friday evening, right between our pregame show and kickoff. So as we begin to see, again, it's special here tonight, folks. This is the epitome of Division III. It's not just about the field performance, it's about off and on the field. They play it for the love of the game. What maybe 0.0 something % of players will go to pro football later on. And I come from the Liberty League, where we had 2 of those players that are in the NFL right now, Ali Marpet and Andrew Franks, names you'll hear quite often from the Bucks and the Dolphins. But those are the exceptions to the rule. These guys are playing for the love of the game, and we are so thrilled to be able to celebrate these finalists tonight and the ultimate winner of the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy.
Division III schools offer academic scholarships instead of athletic scholarships. This really puts the focus that the student athlete needs to maintain that GPA.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III. A lot of people pick schools just based on the sport and don't get that experience.
Being a Division III athlete and developing my leadership skills has definitely put my name out there and helped me get more recognition on campus, but more recognition nationwide. I did win the Jostens Trophy, which is based on leadership, academics, and then how well you do on the court.
I'm also the Schwartz Scholar of my class. Schwartz Scholarship is basically a scholarship that is given to a student who's identified as a likely leader.
At the end of the day, it won't matter how they play on the field, it will matter how they do in the classroom.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at d3hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play,
you can play in Division III. I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
And we're back here. We're just preparing to throw it up to the dais to talk about our program and start running some of the videos about the players here in the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy show. Again, I'm Frank Rossi. And one more reminder, I mentioned the game. I forgot to mention the teams playing in the game. But Friday night, St. Thomas and Mount Union, both 14-0 this season, facing off for the Stag Bowl. That's not the first time that's happened. Remember, a few years ago, those same teams met up. And the interesting thing is here, we will have a first-time head coach champion crown because Vince Karras, in his opportunities, has not won. There were a couple losses last couple seasons to Wisconsin Whitewater team that Mount Union beat last week in the semifinals. And St. Thomas, Glenn Caruso, he had one chance at it and lost to Mount Union a few years ago. So it's a rematch, but the head coach that wins will be a first-time champion head coach. And that'll be one of the exciting storylines coming up. Plenty of storylines. And I believe Ryan Tips and Adam Turr will be joining me for the pregame show to discuss some of those storylines on Friday evening. Again, around 5 o'clock, we'll start that show. Have the All-America team show, some interviews from the coaches and players, and then we'll go up to kickoff with Keith McMillan, Pat Coleman on play-by-play, and I'll be the sideline guy. It's going to get cold here in Salem on Friday. It'll be probably around 40 degrees at kickoff, whereas we've been experiencing about 50 to 60 degrees temperatures all week long here, so it will be cold. And I may sound frozen down there, but it's going to be exciting nonetheless. And if you're in the Salem area, please come out and watch the game. If you're watching it on ESPNU, hey, turn down the sound, listen to us, and we'll give you a first-person point of view to a certain degree with our D3 knowledge, although ESPNU does a great job as always, too. So, again, 7 o'clock kickoff time or thereabouts on ESPNU for Stag Bowl 43. This is the 23rd Gagliardi Trophy being awarded tonight, and, again, we've seen only 2 winners from St. John's. I believe it was 1 from Wesley and then none from Guilford or St. Thomas to this point. So you could have a school with a first-time Gagliardi Trophy status, winner status, coming up here. So remember that as we're going through this. And here we go. We'll throw up to the dais.
Continue eating if you haven't finished, but we do want to get started with tonight's Gagliardi Trophy Presentation program. My name is Mike Stevens. I'm the Communications Director for the City of Salem. Before that, it was my privilege to work for the CBS affiliate here, and I've been in the area long enough that I was able to be here when the City of Salem and the Old Dominion Athletic Conference first got into the Division III NCAA championship business. The first Stag Bowl here in 1993 seems like a long time ago, yet the memories from that are very vivid. And we look forward to having all of you here for the weekend, and we trust that you'll get plenty of our great Salem Southern hospitality. First thing I would like to do, though, because this group has been working hard all day long, they'll go through the weekend as well. Let's give a big hand to the staff here at the Salem Civic Center for their help tonight. The gentleman who was up here for our invocation, Kerry Harvey Cutter, is the game manager this weekend and our director of tourism. He was the director of this facility for many, many years, and he's been the game manager for all of the championships that have been here in the City of Salem. That's 77 NCAA championships since 1993. 77. And he has done those under a lot of adverse conditions and strange conditions. We've had ice, we've had snow, we've had a lot of rain, we've had oppressive heat, but never has he done it as he is doing it this weekend. On Sunday of this week, his daughter is getting married. So he's got to get through the Stag Bowl, then he's got a rehearsal dinner and a wedding. So I don't expect to see him for about a month after that. But anyway, Kerry, congratulations and best of luck with all that this weekend. Also, one other quick note, you may have heard or seen, those of you who are visitors, that we are Virginia's championship city. Part of that moniker was earned, of course, because of our NCAA affiliation, the other part because of our great high school here in the city, Salem High School. This past weekend, the Spartans completed another undefeated season and claimed another state championship. And we are pleased to have with us tonight somebody who probably would not get recognized, but I think this is important. The gentleman who was as responsible as anyone for getting the Stag Bowl here in the first year in 1993 is a gentleman who is named Dan Wooldridge. And Dan, he was the commissioner of the ODAC. Dan, put your hand up over there. Sitting with Dan is his better half and his wife, Nancy. And Nancy really gets credit for a lot of things that happened in Salem when you think about it, because she was the third grade teacher of our high school football coach and the third grade teacher of our mayor, Randy Foley. So I tell you, Nancy, we're going to give you a round of applause right now and finish up these comments at the beginning. Let's get right to our program now. Before we meet the great finalists who are up here, I'd like to introduce St. John's University's Jim Gagliardi for a little bit of background on tonight's trophy presentation. Jim?
Well, I'm not going to give you a whole lot of background because, frankly, half you guys here don't want to hear from someone from St. John's, and the other half have heard me way too much because they're here every year. So I'll kind of skip over that. I will say a couple things. We're very, very proud of my father, what he accomplished, the things he's done and done for Division III football. We're very, very proud of this trophy, and I'd like to thank Jacqueline Smith from Jostens here. She's a representative here, and thank her a ton for what Jostens has done. And of course, we got 4 great finalists here. We're excited to see who wins this award. And I want to also take note, we have another finalist out here in the crowd, is Alex out there from Mount. Why don't you stand up and give him a round of applause. Obviously, with the 2 defenses that are going to face off this tomorrow, Friday night, you know, you get guys like Alex out there. He must be a heck of a player, and we look forward to the battle Friday night. So without further ado, please enjoy the video. We're proud to be here, and good luck, guys.
The measure of a man can be defined in his life's work. Excellence is often equated with winning. John Gagliardi won more games than any coach in college football history, 489. He coached for 60 years at St. John's University, a Division III Benedictine college in Minnesota, where he won 4 national championships. But not all merits are measured by numbers. There is no statistical value for virtue or integrity. In 1953, he came to St. John's, a 26-year-old head coach, a simple man with a simple message.
The only advice I'd say, treat everybody the way you'd like to be treated. I said that to my players over and over, year in and year out.
He taught that football wasn't everything. Football is a stepping stone to something more important. You know, your life, your family, your friends.
That's true. I think that was his philosophy. He didn't expect that you're going to go play in the pros, but he did expect that you're going to be good men.
First day of my freshman year, he took a dime out of his pocket and held it up to the sun. He said, "That dime is football and that sun is your education. Don't get them confused." And part of that was the respect for the human being and the whole notion that he was interested in your whole life. And it's because of the value system that the Benedictines have instilled at St. John's. I think the players responded to that.
Just trying to do the right thing. And that's really the only rule I ever had with him, the golden rule.
Gagliardi preached personal accountability. In practice, he eliminated anything deemed unnecessary, an unorthodox approach he called winning with nose.
We didn't have any blocking sleds, no dummies, no whistles, no cows.
Probably the most radical was no tackling in practice. People say, how can you possibly do that? There were so many injuries in practice that it would hurt us in a game time. So all we would work on in practice is defeating the blocking scheme, getting the proper pursuit, all the kind of things mental, you might say.
We were always very well prepared. and fundamentally sound, and those are the things that are going to win a lot of football games.
His principles proved basic, yet effective. In 1963, St. John's won its first national championship, and another in 1965. In 1976, Gagliardi won his third. He was revered as a coaching icon, yet to his players, he was still John.
I don't think I've ever heard him, anyone's ever called him coach. I've heard it a couple times, and he'll just say, "No, I'm John."
He was John. He's always been John. From the day one, he's been John. So if you have a question, call him John. We have a lot of guys on our team, 180 or so guys come out for the team. There's only 22 spots for starters. But every one of those kids is made to feel important on the team, and that's one of the legacies that John's left.
He is a community person, and that's really what St. John's is built on, is a community, that spirit. The neighborhood kids would always want him to play, because he'd play with us. And at that time, we're talking early 70s, dads were just that going to work, bringing home the salaries, and he was all about family time.
Family life and coaching life became one and the same as son Jim joined the team as a player and later as an assistant coach. In 2003, father and son stood side by side to witness history.
Elliott split left, Riegelman to the right side, split back to the backfield. Keating under center, 5-step drop, back to pass, into the flat, Nelson the catch at the 6, to the 5, to the 4, dives, touchdown Johnnies! John Gagliardi's 409th career game, history made here today.
People ask me how it's done. Well, talent and luck and prayers. Thanks very much.
The times changed, but the man did not. John Gagliardi held on, and he kept winning.
John Gagliardi trying to win his 4th national championship in first since 1976, and St. John's eschewing the field goal opportunity. Now the 14th play of this drive. And they swing it out to Tice. Tice needs some blocks downfield, and he gets into the end zone for the touchdown. For Knapp, and it's picked off! Intercepted by Mike Sahar! And he is going to go! St. John's pulling off this upset, a 100-yard interception return for the Johnnies. So John Gagliardi, for the 4th time, is a national champion.
It's hard for me to believe I'm married to him. He's done so many things so well.
After 70 years in coaching, John Gagliardi retired. In 2013, at 86 years old, he watched a St. John's game from the stands for the very first time. Yet, John Gagliardi was surrounded by his team.
Oh, God, I can't get out of this chair. Let me give you, good to see you.
How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you.
You doing good?
Good to see you. Only the best back we ever had here. Billy, how are you? Nice to see you.
How are you?
John,
how are you?
Good to see you.
There were things we didn't realize then that you taught us that are bigger than those things we learned on the field.
That makes me proud that I touched their lives, hopefully for the best.
John Gagliardi. He leaves the game a coaching legend. And to his players, he will simply be remembered as a saint.
Jim, thanks so much for sharing that with us again tonight, and thanks for your presence here. Now it's time to meet up close and personally our 4 finalists for the Gagliardi Trophy. And what we're going to do is this. Gentlemen, I've kind of briefed you on this, but I'm going to have them come down and walk in front of you for a big round of applause. They're going to get seated, and then we're going to begin the interview process. Please welcome our finalists, Joe Callahan from Wesley College, Matt Pulaski from Guilford College, Dave Simmet from the University of St. Thomas, and Sam Surra from St. John's University. Pat Coleman from D3Football.com has graciously offered again tonight to serve as our interviewer. And so the gentlemen will come up one at a time. Pat will ask them some probing questions. Nothing too crazy, Pat, all right? So let's begin tonight with Mr. Callahan. And let me say, to cue our man in the back, before each guy comes up, we will have a video to introduce them to you. So we'll begin with Callahan's video. Here we go.
Joe Callahan, 2015 Gagliardi finalist. In 2013, in his first career start, Joe Callahan broke the school record by passing for 510 yards versus Widener University. The game marked the beginning of what is one of the greatest 3 years a college quarterback has ever put together. In 2013, Joe ended the season with a record-breaking 633-yard, 8-touchdown performance versus Mount Union. In 2014, Callahan threw for a remarkable 4,190 yards and 46 touchdowns and was named a 2014 Gagliardi finalist. This past season, Callahan led Division III in every significant passing category. And by the end of the season, he broke the all-time single-season passing yards record with a remarkable 5,063 yards passing.
Touchdown, Wesley!
Callahan became one of only 2 players in the history of college football to throw for over 5,000 yards and 55 touchdowns.
The goal line, touchdown, Wesley!
For his efforts, Joe earned New Jersey Athletic Conference Player of the Year and was named East Region Offensive Player of the Year by D3Football.com.
It's picked up by Vasilenko, and Zach Vasilenko's going the other way to the 50. Callahan's the one man to beat. 40, 30, Vasilenko to the 20, and Callahan strips him of the football. How about that defensive play by Joe Callahan?
You know, the things that most impressed me about Joe is his leadership qualities. You know, the fact that, you know, he is always going to put his team first. You know, he's going to lead by example. Just an outstanding individual, you know, an academic All-American. You know, Joe is a special player, you know, and someone who's always represented Wesley College and our football program in a positive fashion.
I appreciate Joe Callahan because just from this year, he does so much for his team. He's a great leader. He shows poise in any situation.
Callahan takes the snap. He looks like he wants to run left side. He's at the 5, just floats it into the end zone, and it's caught! Xavier Allen, the 2-point reception, and Wesley takes a 50-49 lead with 7.5 seconds left to go.
More important than his individual accolades, his play led to the Wolverines' 11th straight playoff appearance.
Fielding is back, steps up to the pocket, lowers his shoulder, gets the first down, the 15 to the 10, to the 5, hits off a man, spins, and he is in! Touchdown, Wesley!
Joe Callahan is a great guy. He's someone who makes everyone around him better. He's very upbeat. He's a pretty funny guy as well. And it was a pleasure to be his teammate.
His success on the field is matched by his success off the field. As an exercise science major, Joe has excelled in the classroom with a 3.42 grade point average and was named to the COSIDA Academic All-American First Team. Along with excelling in academics, Joe has also played an important role in the college and local community. This past year, Joe participated in many charitable organizations and events, including the Muscle Movement Foundation, the Lower Delaware Boys and Girls Club Alcohol Awareness Day, the Read Across America program, as well as the Campus Community Schools program, Cougars for a Cause.
Today we recognize a true champion and a great individual, Joe Callahan. He's a winner on the field, he's a winner in the classroom, but most importantly, he is a winner in life. He makes those around him better. He inspires not only his teammates, his classmates, but our community. I'm a better man and a better president because I've had the privilege of knowing Joe Callahan.
All right, and Joe, welcome back to the hot seat. We kept it warm for you for the last year or so. You more comfortable this time around?
Yeah, I feel a little bit more comfortable, kind of knowing the process this time, but still you have the nerves with the big trophy award.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll need to keep that microphone up.
that.
That's all right. And we're about to upset half the audience here because I'm pretty much going to say you guys and Wesley scored the most I think anybody's going to score on Mount Union this season. Is that satisfying enough, scoring 35 points against them, or is it only winning that would be satisfactory?
Well, definitely winning the game would have been more satisfying than putting up 35 points, but it feels good to have some success against the number one defense in the country and see where you stand against the best players.
I don't know if you guys are going to pick his brain afterwards, but we'll leave that for you guys to discuss. It was for Wesley football this season, vastly different season. You guys, members of the New Jersey Athletic Conference for the first time, so you had a full conference schedule. How was this different from previous seasons for you?
It was a big adjustment for us. The past 5 years that I've been there, the first 4, we had a non-conference schedule, and we traveled all over the country. And this year, transferring over to the NJAC, every game felt like a rivalry, especially me being from New Jersey. There was at least 5 guys that I either played against or played with on each team, so there was just a different level of intensity each week.
Yeah, a New Jersey guy playing in the New Jersey Athletic Conference against other Jersey kids. Yeah. So Wesley, you're obviously one in a long line of award-winning quarterbacks for the Wolverines. Who's next in the pipeline?
Well, there's actually 2 quarterbacks right now, Danny Kisak and Nick Falkenberg, and they're going to have a battle this spring to see who's probably going to start in the fall, but they're both great quarterbacks. I've been able to spend a couple years with both of them, and off the field, they're both great guys, too.
Why don't you introduce who came with you today?
Well, I have my mom, Judy, my dad, Joe, my girlfriend, Carolyn, my sister, Susan, my coach, Dras, Coach Azanese, Coach Knapp, and then our school president, President Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for Joe Callahan?
Thank you.
And then I'll take the mic from you. Thanks, man.
Joe, thank you very much. Now let's turn our attention to the video screen and welcome from Guilford College, Matt Pulaski.
Matt Pulaski didn't travel far to continue his football career after graduating from Northwest Guilford High School. Nearby Guilford College had a new coach, new energy, and an opportunity to make a difference. Pulaski quickly earned the Quakers' starting quarterback job and never let it go. He captained the Quakers for 3 seasons and helped lead their transformation into one of the Old Dominion Athletic Conference's top teams.
The fact that his peers voted for him captain for 3 years goes a long way with his leadership, but I think it took till his senior year where he actually started to be more of a vocal leader and standing up and talking to people in positive and negative situations, but standing up for what he believed and what he thought needed to be done for us to be successful.
I think it was our second game of our freshman year. It was the first time I started at receiver, and during that game we had a power outage in the stadium against Methodist, and it was in the 4th quarter, just a few minutes left, and Matt looked at me, he said, "You know I'm coming to you." And I think after that point, the very next play he threw it to me and we scored. That was my first touchdown at Guilford, and his first one to me, obviously. And I think after that point, a connection just built stronger and stronger.
His selection as a Gagliardi Trophy finalist is the latest honor in a distinguished career. He twice earned the ODAC's Offensive Player of the Year award and was named D3Football.com's South Region Offensive Player of the Year earlier this month. Pulaski is likewise stellar in the classroom and community. A sport management major and aspiring coach, he's an honor roll student who started his senior year with a 3.25 grade point average. He made a final grade of B or higher in 23 of his first 25 college classes, including courses in leadership, ethics, French, and Quakerism.
Many of the characteristics that you need to be successful in the classroom and on the field are quite shared. So, just as in a classroom, to get smart, you need to read and problem solve. You need to do the same thing on the field, right? Especially in his role as quarterback. You've got to read the field. You've got to be able to problem solve and figure out what's going on. So I see those types of characteristics as being very similar. And he just has the ability to apply those skills to both arenas.
The Greensboro resident has a special connection with local youth, and he visits area middle school and high school teams to share his experience and motivate students following in his footsteps.
We always draw on former players to come out and help give their wisdom and say, hey, this is going to happen, and when you get to high school, it's going to happen, it's going to be like this. Matt has been gracious enough to spend 2 or 3 camps with us. He has that natural communication ability to get their attention, to know exactly what they're going through, and he can tell them, hey, this is how it is, do this, and he has such a wide skill set to be able to teach them.
Pulaski expanded his skill set and helped change a team's culture in his 4 years. Guilford fans will be sorry to see him go, but they can rest assured he will positively impact those around him wherever life leads.
Joe Callahan.
All right, Matt, I figured it had to be tough for you guys to watch the selection show, watch the playoffs go on as, your team went 9-1 this season but got left out of the playoffs. How did you and how did the rest of the team kind of deal with that?
Well, it was sort of a unemotional end of the season. We were all watching the show, kind of expecting to get in, and it didn't end up happening for us. But I thought we deserved a spot. Our guys deserved it. We all worked hard this summer. I got great teammates, but ultimately the committee had to make a decision, and we respect their decision. And it was just a great experience for us this year.
You're not just saying that because they're sitting right there, right?
No.
All right. I figured it had to be particularly tough on you, right? Because you're sitting on the sidelines. You started the one game that Guilford lost versus WNL, but then you got knocked out early in the game and had to watch the rest of it from the sidelines. How did you deal with that? How did you feel there?
Well, obviously, as a quarterback, you always want to be in control. And I think that was the toughest thing, just being on the sideline, not being able to help my team. But I had, all the faith in the world and, our guys that we were going to get it done. And unfortunately, the ball didn't bounce our way. We didn't get a couple calls, but, still ultimately it was a great season.
One of the guys that you beat out for the starting quarterback position 4 years ago was Adam Smith, who was up there, your top wide receiver. If you hadn't won the quarterback job, what position would you have played?
Well, I was set on playing quarterback. I think that I haven't worked as hard as I did that summer coming into my freshman year. I was just set on, coming in and taking that job. Adam was, he was a great quarterback also. And I think our relationship built through competing for that job. But ultimately, I think, things happened the way they should have. And, he had a great career as a wide receiver for us.
You had to work hard that offseason, right? You came from a high school program that ran the wing T, and then you went to go run an offense that was run the spread.
Yeah, I went to Northwest Guilford High School. We ran the wing T, so there were games I'd throw the ball maybe 6 or 7 times a game. And I think it was my second game at Guilford College. We ended up throwing 55 times. So it was a good adjustment. As a quarterback, I loved that. But I got to give a lot of credit to my quarterback coach at the time, Chris Barnett. He spent a lot of time with me in the film room and really helped me get adjusted to the college game.
And your current quarterback coach, Steve McNeely, is a guy who should be familiar to half the room, right? The former Mount Union position coach. Coached the guy who won this thing the last 2 times. What did you learn from him this year? What did you take from that?
Well, I think coming in, he came in a situation where I had been, in the offense longer than a lot of the coaches that we had on staff. So I think fundamental-wise, he didn't need to come and, adjust a whole lot. But I think where he helped us was schematically, especially in game plan situations. He's a great football mind, and he really brought some additions to our offense that, we use to attack teams, and it was really beneficial.
Why don't you tell us who came with you tonight, introduce them.
Yeah, well, I have my mom and dad, who I just want to quickly thank. They've done so much for me. They sacrificed so much and really helped me get to where I am today. Our head coach, Chris Rusevich, is here. Again, he's a great leader for our team. And he's really spent a lot of time, bringing us closer as a family, and I think that's been a big part for our success. And then I have my girlfriend, Morgan, who drove up today. She's a great support. My quarterback coach, Steve McNeely, and then finally our SID, Dave Walters.
Ladies and gentlemen, a hand for Matt Pawlowski. Shake my hand. All right, I'll take that.
Matt, thank you very much. Now let's turn our attention back to the video screen from the University of St. Thomas, David Simmet.
Backs in the eye. Backs in the eye. Gould under center. Second and goal pitch. Kaiser has it. Going wide. Cuts it back up the middle. He's in.
His name may not always make the highlight reel.
St. Thomas has scored.
But for University of St. Thomas offensive lineman David Simmet, that's how he wants it.
You look at the stats they have listed next to my name, and none of them are indicative solely of me.
Simmet won't tell you he's a reason for the team's success, but since putting on the purple, the Tommies have won more than 40 games and earned 3 NCAA playoff berths.
I look at our team and I don't see one all-star.
He's been a significant contributor, blocking for 27 100-yard-plus rushing performances and helping the Tommies pass for more than 250 yards on 15 occasions.
When one of your best players is also one of your most humble people and your hardest workers, that's when you know you got a great one.
For me, it's just about playing for your teammates, playing for your family who did all they did to put you in the position that you're in today.
Even though his father,
Let's move the ball.
Bob Simmet, attended rival St. John's University, he quickly got behind his son's decision to play for St. Thomas.
He's embraced the purple.
From the one, pitch, Roberts. There it is, go. Touchdown.
He's really just come to enjoy the St. Thomas football community.
At 6'9" and 342 pounds, two-time academic All-American Simmet is all in, whether he's on or off the field.
I've never really been one for words. I can't make a motivational speech for a fire-up, pump-up speech for the team to save my life. So I think it's really just kind of leading by example.
You might think that, he's all about muscle and brawn and maybe not about intellect and heart, but his mind and heart fit the size of his body.
You talk about being refreshed as a coach. Here's a guy who not only is working tirelessly to be the best he can on the field, but also embraces that responsibility that he has to his community.
Off the field, Simmet is an active volunteer. He's president and treasurer of a student group that travels the country during spring break doing community service.
I just wanted to help. That's how most good things start, is not trying to tackle it all at once.
The key to advancing the common good is caring about other people, being in contact with others, being able to put yourself in their shoes, having empathy for the other person, and he's willing to give his time and his energy to that.
That's the reason I came here, is because I didn't want to just be a football player. I wanted to be a football player and a student and part of charitable organizations.
Another scenario we can look at is reduced salvage value.
A nearly 4.0 student, double majoring in accounting and finance, Simmet represents the best that St. Thomas has to offer.
We certainly did not build him or mold him into something that he didn't already have in him. He had such a strong foundation. He knew who he was. He knew what his purpose was, and we were simply blessed enough to be able to add a brick or two to that strong foundation.
Coach always talks about you come to St. Thomas to play football, but more importantly, you come to be the best father, husband, and leader of men that you can be. So I really just hope to fall into those 3 categories as best as I can.
Coming here before the rest of these guys out here knew that they were coming too. How did it feel when you knew you were going to have a pretty big fan club here for this?
Well, really, it meant the world to me. Being here without them would have felt pretty empty because you look at those stats that are next to my name, and really very few of them are indicative of me. Will Hilbert, Zach Brennan, Richie Donovan, Stephen Sauer, they're indicative of the whole line, and the lack of sacks are a credit to Johnny Gould's evasiveness, the run game, Dom Chicolo, Jordan Roberts, and Jack Kaiser running back, and really all set up by our defense, putting us in great field position with a lot of time on the clock.
For you and for a number of your fellow senior classmates, this is your second trip here. What's different about it this time around?
Really, the difference between this and the 2012 team is just how cohesive this football family is. We really play for each other, play together. You look at our roster, and there's not one all-star. It's really just made up of a bunch of guys doing the best they can.
I think when the season's over, that number of all-stars is going to change, just for the record. You guys are a great run team at St. Thomas, a really good passing team as well. I'm guessing that if you guys run 65 times a game, you're pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, running's a lot of fun, and so is passing, I guess. We just trust that our coaches put us in the best position to win the game, whether that's running or passing. We put our trust in them.
You did a lot of interesting community service, and some of it was highlighted there, but tell us a little bit more about some of your favorite projects.
I guess the two big things are St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and Students Today, Leaders Forever. The first St. Jude's Children's Hospital, we did an up till dawn event with the team and became the highest fundraising team in the nation with $13,000 last year. This year we did it again and made a little over $35,000. So that just, the children down there, six of us had a chance to go down this summer to visit the hospital, and those kids have more mental toughness than any person on this team for what they're going through at such a young age. Students Today, Leaders Forever is a great nonprofit run out of St. Paul. It organizes bus trips for kids to do over their spring break, stop at different communities out throughout the country, and help others through servant leadership.
I have to ask, it was noted, two-time All-American, academic All-American, 3.97 GPA. What was the class or the classes that got you?
Two classes freshman year tripped me up, an English class, English 101 and Theology 101. Got an A-. And, no one's perfect.
Is there more football in your future, or what do you plan to do after graduation?
I mean, if that opportunity ever came, I'd have to listen to what they had to say, but I have plans already. I have a job at PricewaterhouseCoopers down in Minneapolis, so I'm happy with how my life's set up.
Yeah. Other than the 58 or your 57 teammates on the travel roster who came with you, why don't you introduce who made the trip?
My father, Bob, my mother Margaret, and like you said, my second family, the St. Thomas football family.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for David Simmet. Thank you.
Thank you, David, very much. Now let's turn our attention to the screen to meet our final candidate from St. John's University, Sam Sura.
When you look at what the Gagliardi Trophy is all about, and it's special for us here at St. John's because it's named after John, who was here for 60 years, and we all know the kind of person he was and how he treated people and what he was looking for in a player. And I think Sam epitomizes exactly what the Gagliardi Trophy is all about.
He's a better person than he is a football player, and that says a lot. He's the perfect guy to have for the team because I think the linemen just respect the heck out of him. He makes them look good, and of course the line make him look good as well. So it's great mutual respect.
I've grown up with Sam in South St. Paul. I've known him since we were playing flag football together in, I think, first grade. Been roommates for 4 years now and haven't killed each other yet, so it's been really fun. He's the type of person who never took any credit for himself, and reporters would always ask him after the game, what did you do today that was able to make the difference? And he would always give credit to the offensive linemen and everyone else, and it was never about him. And I think that's what really made him special, is that he never took any credit for himself.
It's one thing to have a great player, you know, who knows he's great and kind of has a big head about him. Sam was not that way at all. You know, he never once mentioned, you know, that rushing record. I mean, that made us want to get it even more, you know, just because he was so humble and never said a word about it. So I think we really took that upon ourselves as a team and the offensive line to get him that record.
He's obviously such a huge part of this program for the last 4 years. He's obviously one of the most talented players we ever had come through St. John's, and you know, his accolades and his stats kind of speak for themselves. Very quiet guy on the field, very, very quiet, just goes about his business. There's really nobody better than him. He, great teammate, you know, he works really hard in the off season and, you know, at practice. And he's just one of those teammates that, you know, you really hope you have when you come to college, and, you know, he gets along with everybody, and, you know, he's just a great teammate to have.
Sometimes just sitting on the sidelines, we'll be with the defensive guys, we'll kind of look at each other like, how did he do that? And I think most people, if you talk to Sam outside of football, would never know that he's, you know, the star football player. He, you know, kind of keeps to himself and will never talk about football unless it gets brought up to him. Rather talk about, you know, video games and stuff like that. And
he's goofier than people may realize. He really likes video games. He's not the type of guy that you'd think would be an All-American running back. You know, he's a very down-to-earth, very humble kid.
Sam really loves football, but he doesn't want him to define him, and that was a big thing for him. I think he didn't want football to be his life.
When we look at this group of seniors, they were the last to play for John, and you know, that's a pretty special thing to be playing for a Hall of Fame coach. Those guys are really important because they were the ones that, you know, not only were they part of John's regime, but then, you know, to come back and be part of my first team, they've really been the guys who've been maybe the backbone of what we've done here the last 3 years.
Sam really epitomizes what this award's all about, and I know my dad, you know, Sam had a chance to play for him for a year, and I know my dad's tremendously proud of him and everything he's done. It is a great honor to have someone like Sam represent St. John's football and John Gagliardi in this award.
A lot of purple in this room. You dealing okay with that?
Yeah, obviously I'd like to see a little more red out there, but I mean, these two programs are great. Mount Union has had a lot of success in the past, and they continue to have success, and St. Thomas, one of our biggest rivals from the MIAC, but have to be proud that they're showing them how we do it.
There you go. You know, as was mentioned in the video, you played for John Gagliardi. Your senior class was the last class to play underneath him. What was it like playing for John?
It was great. I mean, like you said, I only had a year with him, so didn't get to hang out with him too much. But everything that you hear about him, it's true. He's a great guy. He definitely cares about you, not just football and what you can do on the field. But yeah, everything you hear about him, practices, trying not to hit each other, just make sure that we're all healthy. Yeah, just a great guy.
Speaking of healthy, I saw 730 career carries on that screen, most of them in the last 2 years. How are you feeling? I know you've had a couple of weeks off, but how are you recovering?
A little sore. The body's definitely happy to be taking a break, but during the season, you don't really think about it. All the adrenaline just kind of keeps you going, and the love of the game.
It's been kind of an interesting arc, really, for St. John's over the last 4 years, right? You know, the program was beginning to slide a little bit. Your class came in. Maybe the expectations weren't quite as high, but then you guys had a fantastic junior season, a fantastic season last year, and all of a sudden the expectations were just through the roof. How did you guys adjust for that?
Yeah, it was definitely tough, but our group of seniors was really close. We knew that we were in it for the long haul, and we did everything for each other. And we kind of got ourselves back on the map. Last few years, we made it to the second round. So now it's up to the next generation to kind of pick up where we left off and keep on going.
So what's next in life for you, and does it involve football?
Like David said, if something comes up, I definitely have to think about it. But right now, I have a job at Gagliardi, and that's an accounting firm in Minneapolis.
Okay. So why don't you introduce who came with you today?
Yep, I have my dad, Tom, my mom, Lisa, and I came with Ryan Klinkner, our sports guy, and Jim Gagliardi, our coach.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Sam Sura. Good job, man. Thanks.
Sam, thank you very much. I'm going to ask you before you sit down if all four gentlemen would stand up, and we'll get Sam to lead us back over to the head table, and you guys take a seat, and you can put the eyeball test on them one more time and make your pick. We got 4 seniors, 2 quarterbacks, a running back, and 1 skill player. Right, David? That's right, brother. And as they get seated, it's going to be my privilege to bring up our representative from Jostens. I don't know if you've had a chance, but I certainly would encourage it before you leave tonight to go over and take a look at the trophy. It is absolutely a beautiful piece of artwork, and one of these gentlemen tonight is going to take it home. So, you get to meet people and you get to find out how small the world is. And sitting up here tonight speaking to our Jostens rep, I found out just that. We have a number of friends who are from Southwest Virginia that she knows through many of her relationships and friendships, and so it's been very interesting to talk tonight. Our representative tonight from Jostens is Jacqueline Smith, and she has NCAA background as well. Not only does she work for Jostens with a number of colleges in the Commonwealth and beyond, but she is a former cheerleader at William & Mary. So please welcome at this time, Jacqueline Smith.
Good evening. It's a great pleasure for me to be here to represent Jostens tonight and award the Gagliardi Trophy. On behalf of Jostens, we would like to send a sincere thank you to the City of Salem, the Old Dominion Athletic Club Conference, and the J Club for putting on a great evening tonight and all the hard work that they do to make this one of the premier sports awards in the country. To the 2 teams that are going to be battling for the championship this Friday night, we wish you the best of luck. We want to let you know that Jostens has purple stones ready and lots of great design ideas for your championship rings to celebrate. Good luck at the game and cherish every moment of this weekend. They are memories you will hold in your life forever. To the finalists tonight, congratulations. You guys excel in the classroom, you excel on the field, and you excel in the community. You embody everything that a true student athlete should do and be. That will help you excel in your future, help you be successful, your family, your friends, and you guys have a lot to be proud of. Without further ado, it is my great honor to announce the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy winner, Joe Callahan.
Well, there's definitely a lot of people I want to thank, but first off, I want to start by thanking everyone involved with the Gagliardi Trophy. I'd like to congratulate the other finalists. Based off the videos, you guys have obviously had great careers, and good luck, Dave, Friday. I'd like to thank my coaches. They recruited me out of high school and gave me probably the best football experience in my life. I'm definitely happy with the decision I made to go to Wesley, and it's a part of my life I'll never forget. I'd like to thank my teammates over the past 5 years. I've been blessed to have a great group of guys around me on the field and an even better group of friends off the field. I'd also like to thank my parents, my girlfriend Carolyn and my sister Susan for over these past 5 years. Like I said before, we traveled all over the country, and they made a great effort to come to almost every game. And it's just really made this whole experience special for me. So thank you, everyone.
It's unbelievable job, man. Congratulations, Joe, congratulations. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have Jacqueline and Joe head on over to the interview area, and we're going to move the chairs out of the way, and we're going to get a couple of photo ops there. Then we're also going to have anyone who would like to come up and take some photos with him. I know you've got family and teammates here, and we'll take care of that. So first thing we'll do is we'll get you over there, and we'll get Joe over there, and we'll get those pictures out of the way. I hope to see many of you throughout the weekend. Tomorrow is a big day with our breakfast in the morning with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, followed by practices tomorrow during the day, and then tomorrow night our Spotlight on Champions banquet right back here at the Salem Civic Center.
Thanks to all of you for being here. Have a safe night. And Joe, thank you and congratulations to all of our finalists.
And again here, stay tuned. We're going to have an interview with Joe Callahan, the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy winner. And, second time's a charm in his book here. We had Kevin Burke make history last year as a two-time winner. And we've never, I don't think, at least it's not coming to the top of my head of a player that was a finalist one year, then winning the next year. Here's a little trivia for you, though, folks. As I was looking down the list of now 23 winners, Wesley was, with Rocky Myers in 2004, the first South Region team to ever have a Gagliardi Trophy winner. Well, now that they've moved to the NJAC, they are now the first East Region team as well to have a Gagliardi Trophy winner. Congratulations to Joe Callahan for allowing his school to become the recipient of such an honor, and congratulations to him. He deserves it tremendously. We've seen his resume, we talked about it earlier, as senior quarterback from Absecon, New Jersey, D3Football.com, All-East Offensive Player of the Year, two-time D3 Football All-Region first team in the South and East last year and this year. Division III leader in passing, 5,068 yards and 55 touchdowns. COSIDA All-Academic All-District Team, 3.42 GPA, and plenty of public service, community service work that he did. You only see a part of it on this list, and if I can maybe list a little bit more of it while we prepare to get him up on our podium here to discuss. He was on the Dean's List, President's List, National Honor Society, COSIDA All-American, All-Academic, All-District Team, Ben Knapp 5K, Food Drive for Delaware Food Bank, and Boys and Girls Club Team, Alcohol Awareness Carnival, Pop Warner Football Camp Counselor, Reading Across America program. Scheduled graduation date, December 2015. We'll have to talk to him about that because it sounds like a pretty active month for him, the month of December here, as he prepares to possibly graduate as well, find out what's next for him, and find out how it feels to be the 23rd Gagliardi Trophy winner, this time in 2015. Yes, his season has ended after the loss last week to Mount Union, but this has got to give Wesley a really good feeling. You always want to go as far as you can and get to the Stag Bowl if possible, but this is something that you bestow on one player among tens of thousands of players throughout the country, and Joe Callahan is that 2015 Gagliardi Trophy winner. This year, they did a little reshaping of the trophy. There were some concerns about the size of it in the old days. It was a very large trophy. We had a report one time of it getting shipped to the recipient and not quite making it in one piece. It was a very large and heavy trophy. They reshaped it to be maybe a little bit more showcase worthy and able to fit into the recipient's home. Maybe after Kevin Burke received two of them, he sent a letter saying these are great, but they're way too big to fit in a room. So they did reshape it, and it looks really good this season. It's the same basic principle with the Coach Gagliardi and the player he's talking to, but just a little bit smaller and probably a little bit easier to ship to the winner. And for Joe Callahan, probably could drive it back home, as Wesley only a few hours up the road. And like I said, a rare instance here where the winner is right up the street or down the street or whatever, as the South and East regions really have not had winners except for Rocky Myers from Wesley in 2004. For those, well, hey, I was going to keep talking about the game we got coming up and everything else, but I think we have Joe Callahan ready to join us right now, and we'll get him in position. And Joe, I thought it was quite possible last year I get a chance to talk to. We talked to Kevin Burke and said last year for a second time, and second time's a charm for you. Tell me, first off, how it feels to be the winner.
It feels pretty great. It's a great honor to even be a finalist, but definitely winning's a little bit better of a feeling going home.
Now, last year, obviously, didn't pan out the right way. What did you learn from the process after, not winning it last year? Coach, we talked to us earlier, Coach Jostens said, you really did mature even beyond. You were a man among men last year, and now you're even more so this year. What did you learn, and how did you put it to work this year?
Well, losing it and actually being a second-team All-American were two little things that drove me to work out a little harder over the offseason, study a little harder in the film room, and just by the time the season came around, I put that all behind me and just concentrated on football and doing what it took to put our team in the best situation.
Now, you reportedly, according to the nomination form, you're graduating technically this month in December 2015. What's next? What are you going to be doing after this, and how is this going to motivate you to get to that next step?
Well, like you said, I'm graduating, and then I have a internship set up for the spring with Ojeda Sports Performance, which is a place that I actually trained at the past few years. And I felt like it was a great place for me to continue learning at, to grow in my career, and then to also train for possibly a professional career, wherever that goes. I have an all-star game coming up in the middle of January, and hopefully I'll open some doors with that and get a few opportunities to continue playing football.
Division III football is that level of football where, look, you're doing it for the love of the game. You can't expect necessarily to get to the next level. The percentages are well against you. Were there any points in time where you were just like, I don't want to do this anymore, but you kept on going despite that fact?
No, I can't really remember any moment where I wanted to give it up. I love football, and like I said up there, that choosing Wesley was a decision that I'll never regret. Speaking strictly with football, it was a great experience on the field. I made a bunch of friends with my teammates, and I never lost any love or any drive during that time at Wesley.
What made you want to go to Wesley? And obviously you succeeded well, being a two-time finalist and now the winner of the Gagliardi Trophy. But what really sealed the deal for you with Wesley?
Well, coming out of high school, I wasn't recruited too heavily. I never heard of the program before Coach Azanese came to my school, and if you've ever met him, he might be the most excited man alive. I've never met anybody with more energy, and just when he visited the school, it kind of when he left me with a feeling like, okay, Wesley might be somewhere I want to go. And then when I went on my visit, I met Coach Drass, Coach Knapp, a few of the other players, went on a tour of the school, saw what they had to offer academically, and then their football track record just stands for itself, and it just felt like home. It felt like an extension of my high school Holy Spirit, and somewhere where I would feel comfortable in the classroom and on the field.
Your family's here, obviously. Who did you bring again, just for those that join us late now?
I brought my parents, Judy and Joe, my sister Susan, my girlfriend Carolyn, my head coach Mike Drass, associate head coach Chip Nat, assistant coach Coach Azanese, and then our school president, President Clark.
What, in terms of family, how did they motivate you along the way? Are they kind of the centerpiece of what kept you going at all times? What's been your connection with them, especially in this process?
My family's been great. Outside of the people who came with me, my grandpop who passed away this season, he was a big supporter, one of my biggest fans, maybe second to my dad. Then my mom has a huge family, so all my aunts, uncles, they were all for it, coming to all the games, especially a few of the farther away ones. So I had great family support these past 5 years.
Grandpop's got to be proud of you right now.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, he was a big stat guy, and all throughout these past 5 years, it's just after every game, we talk on the phone, and he'd update me where I was compared with other quarterbacks. This year it was me and Matt were neck and neck throughout the regular season, so he was always letting me know where Matt was, where I was, and it seemed like to him the stats almost were more important than the game sometimes.
You had some pretty limitless stats, I have to be honest with you. So is there a sense of relief right now, now going through it twice, that you actually heard your name called?
Yeah, I think before they announced that, I was probably more nervous than I have been for any football game so far. I definitely wanted to win this year. It would have been pretty tough going, making a 7-hour drive back, losing, but I'm definitely excited right now.
Well, I said it before you got up here. I'll say it again. Wesley, I believe, is the only South Region school to have won Rocky Myers in 2004, and now the only East Region school as well to win because of the move to the NJAC. Technically now an East Region school, and you've given them that ability to hold that honor as well. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to Wesley and the coaching staff, obviously, but congratulations to you. And anybody you want to say hello to back home that might be watching?
Well, hello to all my friends and family who are watching back home, and especially hi to Mammy. She'll probably see this tomorrow when we get the video back to her.
Sounds good. again, 2015 Gagliardi Trophy winner, Joe Callahan. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Folks, Joe Callahan, that 23rd winner, and definitely I could tell a sense of relief on him. He's elated to be that winner, and congratulations, Joe, on that win. Again, we want to remind you that on Friday night, first things first, on Thursday, they're going to have a dinner with the two teams here, St. Thomas and Mount Union, Spotlight on Champions banquet reception, a big turn on the ground. It's a video show, and Ryan Tips and Adam Turr will join me as we bring you up to date on how the teams got to where they are, St. Thomas and Mount Union, and give some predictions and maybe talk to some folks around the game and surrounding it during that show. Right after that, around 6:30 or thereabouts, we'll have the All-America Team Show, the D3Football.com 2015 All-America Team Show. Pat Coleman and I will be going through that list for you, and we'll then lead into some interviews with coaches and players that Pat has done throughout this week. And then the big game, 7 o'clock, ESPNU. We'll be broadcasting the video. We'll be doing on D3Football.com the audio broadcasts over the internet. And you can enjoy best of both worlds, as we always say. Turn on the video, turn on our audio, and watch it from there. That way, I'll be in the sideline. Keith McMillan's the color commentator, and Pat Coleman is play-by-play. So we got plenty coming up here for this Stag Bowl week. But as always, we start here with the Gagliardi Trophy show, and this one basically is in the books. Congratulations to Joe Callahan again. I want to thank a good number of people here, including the City of Salem, the Old Dominion Athletic Conference, St. John's Athletics, the J Club, Jostens, all four sports information directors from the four schools that had finalists represented here tonight. Roanoke College, D3Football.com is the producers with dmac Productions. Tremendous work, as always, from our good friend Dave McHugh and his production crew tonight. Again, Joe Callahan from Wesley, the 2015 Gagliardi Trophy winner, and congratulations to him. And we got a lot coming up this week, so we're going to go off the air and get ready for it here, folks. So from Salem, Virginia, I'm Frank Rossi saying good night, and we'll talk to you on Friday at the Stag Bowl.